Hello. Good evening. Happy Saturday evening. Happy Saturday day. Elizabeth Maria Caraballo here from ElizabethMarieCaraballo.com. Super intense day. First day of gym show. And it was the first day of gym show. Nobody was sitting around, I'll tell you that much. That stuff was intense. Hey, Monique. So, I'm going to pull a card live here for my peoples. And let's see what the cards have in store for us. I was just thinking as before I go, I was like, cards, universe. I feel like you're using my life for a lot of these antidotes and stories. And then I heard, and I was like, okay. Okay. Point taken. That's what I'm doing, I suppose. So, with that being said, I'm not perfect. Things don't always go well, and I'm not always happy. I went to a workshop a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to this lady, and she's like, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a jeweler, and I do readings with animal medicine cards. People are always like, huh? And we're talking, and she's just saying stuff, and she kind of felt guilty about eating the chocolate. I was like, girl, these size 12s don't fail themselves. This is work, and we're just making jokes. And she said something, and I said, oh, no, life gets rough, man. I've made some pretty hard moves sometimes. She goes, oh, so you do have a dark side. I was like, yes? How can you be relatable if you don't have a dark side? Anybody who's perfect all the time is kind of alienates connection, I think. So you got to show a little bit of your underbelly. I apologize if this is kind of lagging or glitchy. I don't know what's going on. I got 4 bars and I got Wi-Fi, but it's okay. We're just going to keep rolling. All right, let's see what we come up with first. Oh, there's the first one. Oh, here we guess humans. We rock. Our first card is the Swan. Let's pull another one because we've gotten that one before. So let's just pull a clarifying card. So not necessarily clarity per se, but maybe a direction in which to take the card of grace. Grace is the lesson of the Swan, and that's really just going, okay, I will go as you say. I'm not going to, which is exactly what I was just saying. Not going to question this. I'm not going to question you. Oh, man, we got 2. Okay. So the second card was Armadillo, which is boundaries. And the next one is Skunk. I don't think we've had this on our group readings. I think this is actually new to the nightly readings for everybody. So let's start from the beginning and see how it ends up. Because, I don't even know until I start doing it. I don't prepare these things. I just kind of go with the flow and see how they connect. Hey, Legina. I love your little profile picture, and I love that the love is in your name. I think I said love like 15 times there. Okay, so Swan is the first card. Swan is about grace. Swan is the story of the little tiny duckling who was looking for the future. In her quest, she ends up at the lake of, I don't know, illusions or something. And she noticed a big black swirling, hole up in the sky above a big, gigantic sacred mountain. Hey, Adriana! Mwah! Anyways, so she says when Dragonfly flies by, she's like, hey, Dragonfly, what's up with that big black swirly thing? He's like, oh, well, that's the gateway to the illusions. I've been guardian of that forever. She's like, He's like, well, if you want to enter there, you have to earn the right. You just can't fly in there. And she's like, okay, so what do I got to do? And he says, well, you got to just let whatever happens. You got to promise not to change it. So he's basically like, you in? And this is what she says. I read it every time because it's so perfect. It's something that I probably would never have come up with, but this little tiny duckling just happened to be amazing. How many of our babies just blow us away, right? This is basically it. The Swan says, I will be happy to abide by Great Spirit's plan. I won't fight the currents of the black hole. I will surrender to the flow of the spiral and trust what I am shown. Right? I mean, show off. No, I'm kidding. So Dragonfly was super, super happy with that. He's like, all right, you can do. So the pond that she was in actually turned into this huge swirling thing and it swallowed her up. Terrifying. And a couple days later, she shows up and she's like, ba-da-bum. She's a swan, right? She's big and long and sleek and white and graceful. And Dragonfly's like, what up? How you doing? You look amazing. What happened? She's like, well, I just went with the flow. I didn't fight it. I just did what I was told. And I saw amazing things and I was transformed. So she spent a few days, they just talked and she told him about what she saw. But the lesson here is to go with the flow. Don't fight it. Trust it. It will undulate. Sometimes it will be uncomfortable. You just got to do it. And, this has come up for a lot of the people that I've been advising lately. And it's just like, you know what? Sometimes the flow is really going to push your buttons. Or it's going to be absolutely, there's no other word for it, terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, where you cannot even anticipate how to handle this next thing because you've never done it. It might go completely against your beliefs or the rules that you follow, but you just got to do it. Okay, so that's the swan. We got 3 cards. So we got this one. The next one is armadillo. Armadillo is all about boundaries. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. This is the thing about boundaries, okay? Our misconception with boundaries is it's about keeping people out. Yes, to a degree. But here is why we do this. Okay, I'm going to need both my hands. I'm Puerto Rican. We talk with our hands. Okay, so if I develop a boundary, all of the things that I have coming in and out, and I develop this boundary, I get to pool some of that, right? And then what is outside of me gets my overflow. But once I decide to pool my own resources, guaranteed there's going to be overflow. Okay? So this is a win-win situation, and this has more to do with the inner enrichment and enjoying what it is you have. The second thing that armadillo is good for is finding your buried treasures. A man that I read his books, I think I have it here. It's Animals Speak, and it's a very interesting, and there's many different animals in this one. He talks about how the armadillo, he uses that medicine to help him find stuff. So he'll literally, like if he lost his keys, he'll be like, okay, please just armadillo, find those keys and put them out where I can see them. So the armadillo is a master at finding life beneath the surface. So they're always in the dark. They go underground. They can find special little caves and holes and places to be. And the armadillo is also an interesting animal because it will fluctuate with the time. Again, here we go with this idea of just ebb and flow, follow the thing. So in the summer, when it's hot during the day and cooler at night, that's when it will go out, would be in the evening, because it doesn't have body fat, so it can't really regulate its heat. And in the winter, when it's warmer outside, in the daytime, that's when it'll go. It's also one of the rare creatures that will sleep with any kind of species that bumps into its burrow. It'll let that species in so they can collectively stay warm in the evening or in the cold night times. This is a very interesting animal. It is also not aggressive at all. So it's just, it's all about defense, but it's all about that enrichment, finding those buried treasures. So far, we're talking about grace to let it go. We're talking about maintaining some boundaries and going with the flow still, so that we can enjoy our buried treasures. We can find them. And that way we can cultivate them and let them grow beyond our boundaries, and our extras will feed everything that's outside of us. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's powerful lessons for women as well, because we tend to have the belief that it's the best thing and the most righteous thing to just give when we don't have, to go with especially single moms, you bust your hump all day, you're so tired, but you still put on those sneakers and you take your kid to the park and you come home and you do the laundry, you cook food, you clean the dishes, like you just don't get a second, and it feels so necessary to sacrifice. But there's a little bit of a misnomer here, because if you don't pool some of your resources for yourself by maintaining some boundaries, even with your duties as a mother to your children. The whole land is parched. There is no extra. When you pool them, you begin to fill that pool and you never stop. So then there's always going to be something that's going to flow over the edge and nourish and feed that which is without outside of you. You have to trust that. It can be a harsh shift that can ping little feelings of guilt or comparison, maybe to some other moms that seem to have it all put together. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not graceful. That's not going with the flow. That's just putting pegs in your way to get snagged on. Don't do that. That's not okay. Okay, the last one is skunk. What do you think about when you see the skunk? You think about stink, right? And maybe like a little Pepe Le Pew action, where he's like, ooh, wee wee, like he's just so cute. The skunk medicine is reputation. That's strange, right? But it is actually a very sweet creature. It is purely another defense creature, just like the armadillo. But this is asking you to recognize your vibe. What are you known for? What's your vibe? What's your stink, right? You get to actually choose your funk. You don't have to be stinky as like, I'm stinky cranky mom, just by default. I can actually choose that. This is asking you to think, what am I emanating? What am I putting out there? What is my funk? What is my stink? How do I want to be known? Let's put this all together and see what we come up with. Okay, so we've got the grace of the swan. You're just letting things go. No, you're following the plan before you. You're not letting things go. You're actually just following. Okay, you ask me, I'll go. You ask, I go. This is very also dependent on a clear communication with your heart. So that's the key to this one. Clear communication with your heart, surrender, trust, grace. Then it's saying, but maintain your boundaries. Don't just put up the gates and let everybody get everything and then everybody's parched. No. For this to work responsibly, you have to have some boundaries so you can have something to swim in. And then take a moment and go for those buried treasures. By the time we all hit adulthood, there's something within us that we are really good at or that we really love that we've buried. For me, it was these cards. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never shared this with the outside world. Source said, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Hey, start doing those cards. I was like, I don't really think that's a great idea. Liz, do those cards. Well, it might not go so well with my family, and not everybody knows that I do this, and it's got, Liz, the cards. Okay, I'll do the cards. Then the next week, it's like, don't just do the cards for everybody. Now offer the individual readings. Well, I've never really done that before. I don't know if I'm licensed to do that. Liz, okay, but my problem with this source, Liz, okay, fine. And then what happened? I had the most mind-blowing week I have ever had. I did not know that in 20 minutes I could create such profound shifts in people by simply sharing what I know with the heart of love from these animal medicine cards. I was all over the world. I got to touch like 4 out of the 7 continents, or 5 continents if you want to go with like the traditional way. I didn't know that. But I followed and I went and I had my buried treasure. And because I've been so good lately about keeping my boundaries, taking those 7 hours of sleep, making sure I'm eating first thing in the morning, I went and got a massage. Like, I've been really taking care of myself. I had something to give because I was already full. So there was an extra, and it was pleasurable to give. It didn't exhaust me. Sure, I've got like 3 baskets of laundry that need folding, but I don't care. I'm not comparing myself. Those standards don't mean anything to my heart, right? And if someone's going to say, hey, you could help 17 people this week, or you could fold your laundry, have your hair perfect every day, and your environment could be beautiful, what would you prefer? I'd be like, I don't need to fold laundry. Bring on the people. So that's what I did. I didn't know that's what I did, but by following directions, that's what I ended up doing. And so therefore, I got to refine my funk, right? I got to show what I really am so that my reputation is reflecting my gifts and showing my grace is becoming my strength because I'm able to follow direction. It's able to say, these are your gifts, your buried treasures, use this. And now I got a pretty awesome funk going on. I like my stink. But it took a little bit to get to this place where my stink is actually really mine. My reputation at this point, though it may be a little woo-woo, like my daughter said the other day, it's okay having a hippie mom. Someone asked my sister in Seattle, oh yeah, I saw your sister on the thing. Is she a hippie? My sister said, no, she showers. They're like, oh, okay. But this is an interesting thing. What are you known for now? Do you like it? Have you been following the directions you're given? Do you have your own pool of richness? Do you know what your buried treasures are? Have you taken time to just chill in your own treasures? Or do you have no boundaries and everything's parched? Your outside life and your inside life. So then what does that say about you? Let's try this again. Have you been following your directions with a clear heart, what you hear, your intuition, what those words are that are given to you when you're driving and you're by yourself and they repeat themselves? Oh, good. You're following that? Great. So have you made sure to maintain your boundaries, you feed yourself, and you're investing in your personal gifts? You have? Good. So then how are people seeing you? Oh, you like that, right? Yeah, that's how that works. If you start by not listening and you don't protect your boundaries and watch out for your own needs and cultivate your hidden treasures, you're not going to like your funk. You're not going to like how people see you. It's not necessarily negative, but it won't be really accurate. One thing I always feared the most is being my outside, hi Annie, is being misconstrued. I do not like to be misunderstood. Mostly because my intention comes from a really deep place of love and I want everybody to feel great. So when someone sees something wrong in me, which has happened before, where someone saw something different in me that I was really trying to convey, not only did it hurt me, but it really got under my skin. And I scrambled to try to fix it. And there was no real fixing it. Hi, Panya. I love your name. Okay, so this is where we're at. Grace, accept the lessons you're given, listen to the guidance you're given, listen to the directions you're given when you have a clear heart. Maintain your boundaries so you have a pool to keep nourishing yourself in, right? Acknowledge those hidden treasures, nurture them, pull them out, love on them by yourself, like get in them, and they will be used. And then your stink, your funk, your reputation will fall in line with who you really are, and it will be nothing more than a catalyst for greater awesome change, abundance, expansion, whatever. But when you don't listen, you don't maintain your boundaries, you keep those treasures hidden, you're not going to like how you're perceived because it's not going to be accurate to who you are, and it's going to really frustrate you. And you're always going to be like, well, they just don't know. Well, it's not their fault. You weren't listening. You didn't do what you were told. You didn't maintain your boundaries and you didn't nourish yourself and you kept your hidden treasures hidden. So how could they know? There's a little bit of a lesson here. It's kind of in your face. It's a little bit like, this is a little challenging. And you know what's interesting? Today is the first year of the new year, which is the year of the rooster. Monique actually sent me a little something recently about how it's like, go, 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 do. You know, you're working from dawn till dusk. This is actually kind of all about that. A little bit in your face. Follow your directions. Maintain those boundaries, because that takes work too. Cultivate those hidden treasures. That takes a little work. Address your funk. Do you like your stink? Do you like what you're emanating? If you don't, start all over. What was your direction? Did you do it gracefully? Did you fight it every step of the way? Did you maintain your boundaries? Are you taking care of yourself? Did you hide your treasures? Are your treasures out there? Great. Do you like your stink now? Bet you will. You do these things, you're going to like what people are seeing of you because it's going to resonate with something so profound and deep in you. You can breathe easy because you don't have to convince anybody of anything. And generally, we shouldn't, which is based in a you're wrong. Shoulds means you're wrong. But part of the reason that we all have a problem with this is because no one's telling you how to do it. Listen, boundaries, cultivate. You're going to like your stink. You know, the skunk likes their stink. They have no problem with it. They'll spray the crap out of everything, but like, do-do-do-do-do. They're super cute. All right. It's like after some of these things, I'm like, wow. Because sometimes right before these readings, I have no idea what's going to happen. And then I get these 3 cards, and I'm looking at them like, meh. And it takes me a minute to work through them and be like, oh, okay, I get it. It always makes sense. I mean, they always make sense at the end. But I have to just be along with the ride with you guys too. And then I got to listen. I got to deliver. And I maintain my boundaries by this whole time inside myself. I'm like, it's okay, Liz, you got it. It's cool, girl, don't worry. And then at the end of it, I'm like, yay! I like my stink. My funk is good. Okay, you guys, thank you for hanging out with me. I've got Gem Show again tomorrow. I haven't done a video or anything. It's just too darn busy these first couple days. Like always, what is always? Always is, I'll be back tomorrow. I've got like 30 days, so I'm at day 17 or 18. We're almost done with this. So I gave away 30 readings, actually like 37. And if you didn't receive your link or you haven't scheduled, you need to get on that because that's over when this 30 days is over. And this next week, I am going to do the 20-minute readings, but I'm going to offer them at a discount this time. It's going to be crazy cheap, like no brainer. And so if you didn't get the free ones, maybe you'd like one of these discounted ones. So I'll be sharing a little bit more about that tomorrow, and I'll share like, I don't know, like a link to a page or something, or a PayPal link. I don't know. We'll just go with the flow, right? I'm not fighting it. Okay. Sweet dreams. I'll talk to you later. Bye.